Hello and welcome back to Saline Today. We are pleased today to have our mayor, Rick Holland, with us today, and our brand new police chief here in town, Kirk. Mayor, glad to have you with us.
Well, thanks for having me. Good morning.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about our new police chief, introduce him, and we'll ask him some questions.
I'm certainly glad to introduce our new chief, Kirk. He starts Monday morning.
All right.
And he brings a great experience with him, and I'm excited to announce his hiring, and that to me, it feels like he's coming home. I know Kirk worked years ago with the Benton Police Department. I used to work down there as a reserve, and I've kind of followed his career through the years, and I know his capabilities. And one of the things that we're charged with is health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. And I know that Kirk will bring a good, Chief Lane will bring a good ability to do that for our people.
Well, good. I know we've taken a while to look and sift and given us time to find an ideal candidate. It's good to take a while to look instead of rush into it.
I had 12 candidates file. Interviewed quite a few of them. Had some good candidates file, but
this is the
over and all, he's far and above any of the other candidates, and it's a great day for the city of Benton when we add the leadership that's coming to Benton now.
We appreciate your screening and interviewing. Mm-hmm. Chief, why don't you tell us a little bit, where are you originally from?
Well, I was born in Vancouver, Washington.
All right.
And my family traveled. My father was in education. Mm-hmm. He was a writer for Xerox. He was an educator of the deaf. Both my parents are deaf. Uh-huh. And my mom's family was from Lone Oak, Arkansas. And so they moved home close to their retirement. Mm-hmm. My father worked for the Arkansas School for the Deaf. And I became interested in law enforcement. I graduated high school in Virginia and became interested in law enforcement. And when I moved to Arkansas, wanted to go into law enforcement. And truly got my start in 1984 when the Benton Police Department hired me as a patrolman. And Benton was gracious enough to send me to the Basic Academy at Aleta. And in 1987, I had a very strong interest in drug law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Pulaski County offered me a position in their narcotics division as a detective, and I went there. And that's where I've been for almost 22 years.
All right. Well, then you've almost been through boot camp if you've been in a large city like that with drug enforcement.
And some.
And some. Well, it's good to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about your family?
I met my wife here while working in the city of Benton.
Okay. Is she an original Benton?
She is. Her family is from Benton. I met her here and married her here in Benton while I was working for the Benton Police Department, and been married to her for almost 23 years now.
Wow. Well, what is her name?
Sarah.
And what was her maiden name?
Courier.
I don't know any.
I think that's Italian.
It sounds like it.
Very much so.
Can she cook?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, good. Then we'll remember that. So, and do you have children?
Yes, I have one 16-year-old son named Colton.
Okay.
And he attends the Arkansas Baptist High School in Little Rock.
Okay. Well, we broadcast their ball games.
Right.
I don't know. Does he play football or anything like that?
He plays baseball.
Baseball. Well, we broadcasting their baseball games probably too.
Great.
We signed a contract with them, and it was our first school in Pulaski County to do. So we do Arkansas Baptist and Bryant and Benton and Harmony Grove and Bauxite. So, well, we're glad to have you with us. What are your plans for Benton? Do you have any vision that you'd like to share with us?
I want to bring a very strong leadership to Benton. Benton's been without a police chief for a while. Mm-hmm. They have had a acting police chief who has done a great job. Mm-hmm. Benton has changed a lot in 25 years since I've been here. Just driving around town, I can see that very much. And I've known Rick since I worked in the city of Benton, and listening to his stories and my family stories about the great changes that Benton has and the things they have in the future brings great excitement to what I plan to do and what I need to do. I think very importantly that I need to go and see, first off, what services are being provided by the City of Benton Police Department, and evaluate those services and looking at the good things and looking at the things that need improvement on. I don't want to be a kind of chief that comes in and say, hey, we're going to make all these changes without seeing what works and what doesn't, and getting a lay of the land. And I'm a very strong believer in public service, not self-service, and I believe that police officers need to have that foundation and to understand that the public and the trust of the public is what makes the police department the backbone of the police department and makes the police department succeed in their mission in protecting them. I'm a big, strong advocate of community-oriented policing. I think that everybody ought to know who the policeman is that by their first name, that walks in their store or drives down their street and feel comfortable in the fact that they can go and talk to that person. And the same thing with the police chief. If they have issues or things that they don't understand or things that they think are wrong or not right or improper, then those things need to be openly addressed, and the police department should have an open door policy to listen to those things. I have some ideas and some concepts that I've learned over the years, having some extremely, in my opinion, great mentors as leaders in the police business, not only from my department, but from others and instructors that I've been through various academies and training that I've gone through. And I've kind of taken a piece of each of those and put it in my own paradigm. And I hope to use those to fill those shoes, and hopefully I can fill the shoes that they've left open for me to be a good leader for this department.
I was jotting down a few things. Once a week we have Kevin Russell, the information officer, come in, and he comes in and is on the show every Wednesday, and well, actually films, and it's one of the times we film and delay. He comes in on Wednesday, and then we show it on Thursday, and we really appreciate that. And he and a lot of the other police officers are very active in things in the community, installing the children's car seats and shop with a cop, and it seems to be a very community-oriented police department. Will you continue things like that?
Oh, absolutely, and I'll try to, go forward with those things and build on those things.
Right.
From what I've read about and what I understand in mutual investigations or mutual contact, whether through training and things, that Benton has some great things. Benton Police Department has some great things going. They have some great equipment. Police Department has a new facility.
It's a beautiful facility.
It is an honor to come in to that kind of deal and to lead it and take it that much further. And what I want to do is really get a pulse of what the public feels, that their service from the police department, what they want, what they need. Can you satisfy every person in town? Probably not.
No.
Can you make them?
I can't even satisfy my wife all the time.
Can you make them feel comfortable? Can you make them feel secure? That's the goal that we're going to try to achieve.
Well, I think just being a member of the community, I think that people in Benton are very proud of our police department and feel very comfortable with the level of service. We have a low crime rate in Benton. It's a great place to raise children, and we're very proud of that. And you mentioned your facilities. We're very proud of City Hall.
And great schools, too.
And great schools,
Don't
too.
ever miss the
chance.
chance.
No. Being president of the school board, I like to mention that, Number one in literacy in the state, number one in math and number two in literacy in the state. Nobody beats us on those things. We also have a resource officer that goes to our schools. You're probably familiar with that program because Little Rock has a resource officer program.
We actually have two resource officers.
We do.
That's right.
And have a remarkable rapport with the kids and the faculty and the administrations.
Well, I have 3 kids that go to school in Benton. They are always talking about Officer Jackson and the resource officers. And you're right, they have a great rapport with them. They trust them. They can open up and tell them what's going on, and I'm very proud of that program that we have going on.
I think that's one of the reasons we have so very little crime in the schools. You read about schools other places that have a gun come, or you have some serious violence or something, and Benton schools just have very little of that. Very little of that going on. So, do y'all now, have y'all moved down to Benton, or y'all planning to live in Benton?
Oh, actually, right now I live in Perrin.
Oh, well, that's just almost an annex. The way we're growing and the way, we're just...
And that would be fine by me.
We're just speeding out that way.
You know, we never really say where the chief lives, especially with his extensive background in undercover work. And
Right.
there's a lot of bad guys out there that
They'd like to know.
Yes, they would.
None in Benton, though.
But he can see the 4th of July fireworks from his house. His
Really?
family can see
That's
that.
neat. That's neat. Yeah. Benton, you mentioned, has changed so much since you were here, and it has. And this fella here has been a big part of what you see downtown. You're familiar, I'm sure, with a lot of towns in Arkansas where downtown is dead and looks it.
Right.
And our downtown is beautiful.
Right.
And sometimes you even have trouble finding a parking place. So it's not dead. It's alive, very much so.
That's right. We had a lot more planned for around town like
That's it.
that.
I know you got your eye on South Street.
South
now.
Street, and the council approved the design for that, and I think we've got some sources of revenue for it. So I really hope that the next couple of years you'll see all of South Street, one of our
wonderful.
gateways to the city, renovated with new curb and sidewalks, and some trees and grass.
Right. Well, 2008 has been good to Benton.
It has.
It's been a good, and I think 2009 will be good. Benton doesn't usually suffer the economic downturns that a lot of communities do.
You know, our sales tax revenue grew again last month, and every month, ever since sales tax was enacted, we've always done better that month than we did the month before, or the year before.
Wow.
And we only had 1 month where we had a downturn in sales tax, and that was when they found all those sales tax receipts in a post office bin
I
somewhere.
remember that.
So we could never figure out why all of a sudden our revenues went down. But
That's where they were.
with the downturn in the economy, our city is still growing. We still have subdivisions being built in. One of the biggest ways you judge how well your city's doing is not only single family permits,
Right.
but that sales tax revenue.
Yes. Yes.
And when you see that the collections are higher this year during December than they were last year in December, then you know you're still doing well.
Right.
And a lot of other cities just don't have that luxury.
That's true. I just have to ask you, Mayor, and I've asked you before off camera many times.
Okay.
How about the Play Palace or the Panther Den? What's the future of that?
Well, we've looked at that for several different possibilities. The one I really liked was the fact that you could put what I would call the Benton Museum in there. And, the Gann Museum is great.
It is.
But it's real small, and we have a lot of history in our city.
I'm on the board, the Gann Museum board, and we are just literally
Bulging.
bursting at the seams. In fact, have things stored other places.
Well, if they were to renovate the old library and make it a Benton Museum, I guarantee it'd be bulging at the
It would
seams
be.
also,
It would
just
be.
in no time.
It would be.
There was some talk of possibly renovating it for the utility department. That would be a great way to go. I don't know if there's any other way you would find the revenue to do it. I know utilities is really outgrowing City Hall, and now we're doing in-house billing and all sorts of things like that. And that was another possibility for the old library or Play Palace. And it's really, when I took that aluminum siding off the front of it,
I think that was a wise move.
it exposed the former luster, I guess you would say, of that building.
Right.
A lot of people drove by and just stood out there for hours and talked about it and looked at it. And we're going to have to someday find the money to renovate that building and keep it from losing it. Really, we don't want to lose it.
Right.
And there are a lot of other exciting things going on in Benton. The event center that they're looking at the airport.
Yes.
The equestrian center, which would be a huge draw to our city. Expanding the parks down there with the old airport. And maybe incorporating where the old gravel plant was for soccer fields. And we've got a progressive parks commission and A&P commission, the advertising and promotion. And they're going through the right steps. They're seeing what do the citizens want. And they're having all these meetings and inputs.
Yes.
And when we find out what the citizens want definitely, and they figure out how they're going to fund it, I think it's going to be one of the greatest things ever happened in this city.
I've been really impressed, Mayor Holland, with the deliberate nature of the planning, that we're just not throwing things together and we're rushing into growing. I know some cities that are just boom towns just explode, and then they look back and they wish they had done, and they wish they had done. And Benton seems to be very deliberative about their planning and their growth, and I'm really impressed.
Well, how many times have you heard an initiative come forward and the people say, well, where'd this come from? Or how come we haven't been told about it? And the A&P Commission, they're having all these public hearings,
Right.
and you read about it in the paper, and they talk about it, and everywhere you go, and when it's not going to be a surprise to anyone when it comes out.
I think they're doing a great job. And,
yes, they're doing an excellent job.
Promoting Benton. And we look forward, Chief, to having you back a few times along as it was going.
Absolutely.
You can tell us about your plans, how things are going.
Absolutely.
And I always ask Kevin Russell, each time I'll ask him, well, how many, since we saw you last, how many murders have been? And he says, 0. How many armed robberies have been? 0. How many this? And it's always low. And so we look forward to that continuing. We look forward to having you back. And with Benton, it's not an adversarial position between citizens and police.
Absolutely.
It's really a sense of pride, I think, that all of us have in the police department.
That's great.
In Benton. So we appreciate y'all viewing this show, and we wanted you to get a chance to meet the police chief and to talk to the mayor again. So we want to wish you a very happy New Year. Although we're a day late in doing it, happy New Year, and have a great 2009. See you Monday.